I am running today with my dad.
Hello.
Who happens to be an experienced ultra runner who has run 100-mile races multiple times. But we'll get there.
Years.
We'll get there. But do you want to start by just telling us about you right now? Like, what are you up to these days?
Hello, I am Janna's dad, and I, along with her, run a morning part for the brunch restaurant while they run a cocktail bar at night in our town. And I've been running all my life. Since I was in 6th grade I started, and for a period of time I ran super long races, the ultra runs. So I didn't do tons of them, but I ran 3 100-mile races, 3 at Leadville. So I've done a lot of 50 miles and a lot of 50Ks. Do
you want to give us your racing resume? What are some of the things you're most proud of?
But what I'm most proud of as far as what I've done, I think that I'd have to think about that a little bit more, but I think just offhand what first comes to mind is just finishing the 3 Leadvilles. It's quite a feeling when you're at 99 miles and you just realize, I'm actually gonna make this thing. I'm gonna be able to do it. So there's nothing quite like that feeling for sure. That last mile is generally not that hard because you've finally done it and you're pulling in at the end and like, wow, I can't believe this. I'm almost done. And I think another one that I was really happy with was one of those I finished, and I would consider myself a 2-tier runner, so I'm not in the lead, but I was always kind of up there in sort of that second wave. I wasn't like the fastest, but I was pretty close. And so one time I got 10th place in the Leadville 100 race, so I was really happy about that.
Do you remember what your time was?
Yes, 22 hours and maybe 35 minutes, something like that.
That's pretty fast.
It's, you know, it's not a world record breaker, but for me it was pretty darn good, and I was pretty happy with it.
What would you say is your favorite distance to run?
It's a good question. Right now, 5K. Back then, probably 50 miles. I did a lot of 50 milers, and I've just always been a little bit better at long distance running. I do have a little bit of speed that I used to have, but I'm better about just keeping going. So probably it's a little bit of determination that even comes along with being an entrepreneur and being in business. It's just more of determination, which is really what you really need if you're going to do ultras, is determination. You've got to be able to just keep going even when it hurts, and you got to be able to do that in business too.
It's true.
And in life. So I think that I've always been really good at that, of just plugging away, keeping going.
So what does training for a 100-mile race actually look like? Because that's got to be some decent mileage.
Well, it's been a little while since I've done it, so they probably have more research about what you should do and that kind of thing. But back then, I can tell you, we looked a lot more, as opposed to mileage, I called it time on feet. It was more like how much time are you on there? Because if you're climbing a 14er, which is really good training for ultras, then you're not so concerned about a mile, because that last mile is really tough. So if you just looked at miles, it wasn't that many miles, but the time on feet was a lot of time. So I had a lot to do with that. And really climbing 14ers here in Colorado, you know, they're really close. So I did a lot of those. I climbed, I don't know how many, but I would always climb a lot of them. It's really good training because you got some endurance and you run what you can, run the downhills, run what you can in the uphills.
So for running 100 miles, I imagine you're out there for, well, I know you're out there for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And so I imagine there's probably more to the training than just running. Is there, what kind of training do you have to do, like for eating and those kind of prep?
Yeah, sure there is, of course. So you gotta, as much as possible, get figured out your nutrition, because you have to eat on those, and some of that you learn as you go. But you got to figure out what you're gonna eat and what you can't eat, things like that. You don't want to try new things when you're starting out a longer race or something like that. You want to know what kind of gels you can eat, or what kind of food, what kind of you know, like electrolytes you can take, salt tabs, and how they react to your body, because you want to minimize being sick. Some people I've known can figure it out to where they don't get sick on the races, but I never could. I always got sick, but I just kept going. My stomach felt awful, throw up or whatever, and you just keep going. But you can figure out what works and what doesn't. One of the times, my first 100, right about 50 miles, I realized I was just losing it. I was just in really bad shape and I didn't know why. And what I realized was I wasn't eating protein at all. I had been just eating gels, and along the shorter runs you can do that. And you get your protein later, but my body just had no protein at all. So I had to eat a peanut butter sandwich and a turkey sandwich while I was running, and then I started to feel better. But I just really didn't know that until I had gone that distance. So learning what you can eat, what works, what doesn't, that's definitely a big part of it as well.
Pretty common mindset surrounding ultras these days is that anything 50 miles or above turns into an eating contest.
Oh, okay.
Not as much as like a run, because it's like who can consume the most calories and be okay with it.
Oh, that's interesting.
How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I also always said on those long runs, the race really doesn't start until you've on the hundreds, until 50 miles. After you've gotten that is when it really kicks in things like just the toll on your body and the determination that you have, and the nutrition. So that really is interesting what you say. I hadn't heard that before, because it's been a few years since I've run them, but it really rings true for sure.
So what does race day atmosphere look like for one of those 100-mile races? And how does that compare to maybe shorter races or just other races?
Oh, it's so much fun because, well, you know, you have like a big party. I don't know how they all do, but a big party the night before where everyone goes and gets all their stuff the night before, you know. And most of the time, if not all the time, I would usually camp when I went up there if it was a big race like that. So you're gonna do a 10K, you wake up that morning, have a bowl of oatmeal, go run the race, and then have a beer, you know. But these are so much different because it's more of an event. So you get there the night before, you know, you're all excited either like to have an event where there's someone speaking or something like that. I don't know, it's just a fun atmosphere. Then you go to your camp spot, you get everything ready for the night before. If you have places, drop bags and stuff like that, you got to make sure they get to the right spot. I've never been very organized, so that's a problem for me. I'm not administrative, so I would usually not have something that I needed. I would forget. But it's just such a fun environment, fun atmosphere. And, you know, then you set your little alarm for, you know, 4 in the morning or whatever, 3 in the morning to get started. You get out there, you got your headlamp on, everybody's excited, and you're excited. I remember thinking, okay, there's gonna be a lot of work today. That's what I remember thinking to myself. Today is gonna be a lot of work.
What is in general, like what is it like when you're running with other runners? Like, do you talk to other runners while you're running the 100-mile race? Or like, do you see people, or are you pretty much alone most of the time?
Yeah, that's a much funner atmosphere. And I think even marathons, but much more than a 10K or something like that, because on a 10K, well, I remember one time, a long time ago, running a 10K, and I had done long ones, and I just thought I'll just do a short one. And I happened to be running with the lead girl, and this was a big 10K in Colorado Springs. And the lead girl, I was just running right around her. I knew she was in the lead for women, and I said, "Good job," just like that. And she said, "Quiet, please," because they're focused and they got to run. And I was like, oh, I guess I was kind of rude a little bit. But man, on an ultra or a long run on trails, you could be with the lead person. You could be with just somebody running for a little while. You could run with somebody for 2 hours, and you just talk, and they're like, "All right, well, so nice talking with you. You know, I'm gonna pull ahead," or whatever. It's just the people in general, just a much more fun environment and more friendly.
100 miles is a long time, right? So I'm sure there are some physical and mental strengths, like conditioning that goes on there. So talk about maybe some of the mental fatigue that plays into also the physical. Like, what is it like when you're out there?
Oh, okay.
You've been out there for 20 hours.
What you do after you've been, say, like at 75 miles or something like that, and you're not wanting to go on? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Yeah, there's several of them, and I guess that's just probably part of it, because the whole game really is keeping going, because anybody can, not anybody, but a lot of people can run 10 miles, 20 miles a marathon. You can swim after that, but at some point it becomes just a lot more about just deciding, I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish it, and one foot in front of another is what I always used to say. So I remember one time I was talking about not being super administrative and organized, so I forgot Body Glide, and I forgot it, And about 15 miles in, I was like, I'm starting to like chafe in lots of places. And so I finally got it in my drop bag at 25 miles, but by then it was too late. So I was bleeding and it hurt, and I thought eventually this will just numb out and I won't feel it. But 75 miles the rest of the way, it hurt every step that I took. It never got any better, but I just was pretty darn determined I'm gonna do it, and this can hurt, but I'm gonna keep going. So I just kept going. And a lot of stuff like that. I remember my first 100 mile, my feet, I had my shoes were a little too small, and your feet, they swell, so they, you gotta get a little bit bigger shoe. I didn't know that. So my feet were just bloody, just like a bloody mess. It looked like it was, what's that called? Frostbite all over me, but it wasn't frostbite. It just looked like it. They were just black and blue and horrible. So I think that's part of the fun of it, is just being determined. You're just gonna do it no matter what, and one foot in front of the other. Trying not to think like, okay, I have 60 miles to go or 40 miles, but just the next aid station. I'll make it to that, and just one foot in front of the other. But one of the things, my mantras was always, it's amazing how far you can go by just putting one foot in front of the other. And I remember just climbing, you can climb a 14, or you can see way off in the distance the peak, and you're like, man, that's forever. But one foot in front of another, and all of a sudden you're there. And it's pretty amazing.
Were there any times or any races, whether it was 100 miles or 50 or whatever, that you thought, wow, I might not finish this? Or were you pretty strong at every point in every race?
No, there were a lot of times I wanted to quit, but as soon as you say that, the first time that popped in my mind, I was on the Leadville 100, and I had finished 75 miles, and you finish around there, and unless you're like the screaming fast people, it's dark. So you started at maybe 4:30 in the morning the day before, ran all day in the heat, run all night, and then by the time you get to 75 miles, it's dark. So you put your headlamp on, and you still have 25 more miles, which is still pretty daunting. So one time I got there, and I just was not feeling the best ever, and I just thought, man, 75 is enough. I think I might quit. And the main reason was because I was tired, and it was dark, and it was snowing like crazy, and there was nobody around. So I just thought this would be a great time to quit. And I just, something inside me just basically just said, okay, just get up and get started. So it was hard. I was in the van, and maybe changed my shoes or something, and I just got out and made one step and then another step. I didn't want to at all. Then all of a sudden I started warming up. It wasn't so bad, and I got going and I finished. I made it about a mile into it. I was like, this is not that bad at all. I can do this.
What advice would you give to a runner who maybe wants to run 100 miles, or maybe just a runner who wants to run something that just seems impossible to them at the time?
Yeah. Okay, so what first came to my mind on that is when I ran my very first marathon, it was also a 50 mile. You could keep doing loops to do the 50 miles. And I remember when I was running it, I was like, I just can't believe these people can run 50 miles. There's just no way. And when I finally finished the marathon, I was pretty much dead. And I was like, how in the hell anybody could keep going and double that? I was like, that's almost just seems impossible. And that was sort of in the beginning when ultra running was just more becoming a thing. And so my advice right off the bat is, you can do a lot more than you think you can. Even just preparing for stuff, and give yourself time and do another race. And your first one, you can feel like, oh my gosh, how would I even go one more mile? But it's unbelievable how just a little bit more in shape and a little more, and you can do way more than you thought you could.